by the way, because by the time if you're going to record something, once you see something, it's already gone. So just make sure it stays on record.
I understand.
Got it.
Yep.
All right. So with your device, again, I like to kind of point out your numbers first. A couple of things I can see them already.
I had a 12.7 just a little bit ago.
So that's your new baseline. I did see a 7.2. You gave me a 10, and then a 12 what?
0.7.
But that's your new baseline. That particular device, I'm trying to give you a quick skinny on it. Your TV sets off about a 40 to 60 millihertz. The average spike for this guy in this location is 20. This is an anomaly for a game operator. Every time I bring another current indicator here, they're like, what is happening in this space? Like, you tell me, man. I get this every night. There are some nights where I don't have anything. And I kind of proves my theory, like, what we're doing here is legitimate work. So if you get above that 18 to 22, obviously the baseline will be at 25. That's kind of the next marker. But yeah, that ambient temperature, you know, is there at the ready. But yeah, if you were to get up to a 12, not surprised. It's a normal temper here. Now that is super high reading outside. Keep that in mind. In between spaces, you can ignore your readings because the per meter numbers go on. But there are equal lines for those are underneath the sidewalks or something. But yeah, every space has a different kind of baseline. 2.5 is kind of the marker because that blinky light line gave you, the second green dot is 2.5. So that's why I like to go 2.5 and higher. Natural from the earth is up to 1.1. That's why I like to stay away from anything because that's the points that you have to have. So, but yeah, you have a very important job. Keeping me safe. I have epilepsy, so too much electricity in the air, we gotta go. Oh, yeah, I always make sure that guy's out. I actually have a DNF detector on my phone for certain spaces, just in case I'm in a weird spot. I kind of have to keep track of that. So you're getting the gist of this guy really quickly, I hope.
Well, I am, but you know, who's up in that tree?
Trees, leaves. All leaves are in front of another leaf. So you're going to always get gobbledygook from leaves.
Okay.
So trees are not your friend,
Okay.
ever. We actually will be near an ivy wall later on. It's not your friend
Give it
either.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But a lot of people are like, there looks like somebody hanging from the tree. I'm like, yeah, it's always going to try to make something look like a ghost. I've actually been in contact with this developer because they're of this ghost tube. They just created another product, and it's one of the things we're going to be testing out later on.
Okay.
But they were like, they're like, how's the SLS thing working out for you? I'm like, it's really great now that I had the sensitivity turned way down because we were picking up all kinds of things. We work outdoors, so
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah. No, I figured it just to go, you know, kind of just scan.
nice and slow. And again, most of us, they're in the dark, so it's not going to pick them up specifically. And the other camera that I use, it's a infrared cam, can actually see the light grid that this portrays. So I always tell this camera and that one, don't point at each other because they're flashing lights, and I won't be able to watch it. And there's nothing in there anyway. But yeah, nice and slow.
Yeah.
We've caught quite a few things on this guy in the past 3 months. About 4 or 5 things that I'll consider definitely paranormal.
Seems quiet, but that's okay.
It's okay. Eliza doesn't really like to show herself here.
I read a book about her last year. Very interesting.
Indigo Girl?
Yes, Indigo Girl. So in the way she was able to develop and succeed.
That book was very romanticized.
Oh, I was in tears at the end. But I'm fascinated recent transplants from the West Coast here, and I'm just thrilled with all this history.
I'll tell you, if you really want to get into her lifestyle, that was a fiction account. I read most of it, and I was like, this is too fiction for me. As much, I'm a fiction writer, but researching her, read her letter book.
Okay.
That gives you the absolute picturesque of what those times were actually like.
Okay.
It's amazing.
All right.
And a lot of it's to her kids.
Ah, that's even nicer. Where is my niece?
What do you got?
Number 485. And then the word health. That's all I really got.
And it hasn't been just on the word.
You getting anything?
Lots of random words. How about you?
Nothing. I got a lot of leaves. See, those are leaves.
Those
Jennifer,
are
how are
leaves.
we doing with yours?
Listening to some Michael Jackson.
Yeah? What was he singing?
I don't know.
You got anything else coming up?
1,000. I keep getting the word of God. Sorry.
It's
Is
okay.
that supposed to be out?
I would usually tell people to like keep them in.
Okay.
So it's almost like you want less reception. You just want just enough little bursts.
Gotcha. Over there, I keep getting the word of God. Like, in the church. So.
Well, it used to be a church. It's a restaurant now. What's funny is that church was started by a Pinckney.
By
A Pinckney. So it's a descendant of Eliza. So the church was called the Redeemer, and it was for sailors, for any denomination to come to church. That was the whole purpose. It's beautiful inside. And you can always share in here, but just in case she wants to listen in. I know being a videographer isn't always the most exciting job during this.
Well, I don't know.
She
I'm
wanted
gonna.
this machine more than anything else.
That's right. I've been hoping all day.
For that guy?
Yeah,
You got it. Yeah.
she's excited.
Well, again, she could still help.
You can listen if you want.
Any other numbers?
That would drive me crazy. No, thank you.
It's like,
These other two are not
What's
interested.
that?
I said the late arrivers are not interested. The little girl keeps getting words.
just going to be a lot of our radio station endings, like 102.5.
Yeah.
You know,
What
those kind of
was? Broken? You're broken.
broken head.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
What was the other thing that I said that I just heard that I immediately forgot what came out of my mouth?
That's why it's recording. We're going to catch it later. Jennifer, anything coming out of yours?
That word Irish, just the word of God, and listen up.
So she was getting a lot of like religious terms as she got closer to the church that is now a restaurant over there. So that does make sense. That actually happens when we go near St. Philip's, which is kind of where we're heading next in that general vicinity. So I do want to explain the EMF readings that we got. We got all the way up to a 19, unless you got some higher.
No, that was the highest.
So 19 it was our spike tonight. I will tell you that, let me explain how those readings actually work. Your TV set gives off between 40 to 60 milligauss. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much 19 is. It's about half of what your TV puts out. If you're standing next to your microwave and it's heating up your food like it's running, about 150 to 170. The highest we've ever seen that device go in my 11 years of ghost hunting has been in this location. 214 milligauss.
Wow.
We left. Like I explained to Terry earlier, I actually have seizures. That is too much EMF in the air for me to have a neurological disorder inside the middle of it. So we left pretty quick, and I gave them all the answers later. But again, we did get up to a 19 tonight, which is about half of what your TV puts out, so that's kind of exciting. Ellie, what do you got that's so funny? Soup.
Before that, I got the word link.
I will tell you that she actually has the word pinky on there. So like your pinky finger. I want you to also remember that the name Pinkney is not in that dictionary. So she had Elizabeth show up earlier when we were at Big John's, and now she has the word pinky when we get over here. So she's probably found the closest, and it's not the first time we've had the word pinky show up here. It's come up on different types of spirit boxes. Again, it sounds a lot like Pinkney. So again, like obviously the last name. But anyway, let's kind of go over the answers. Those are the major things that I was actually excited about. Did you find anything crazy on yours? No. So
The leaves.
yeah, the leaves are going to drive you nuts. So that's the only downfall to that camera and where we're going. So whenever I break out the tablet, it's just kind of to give you the visuals of the location. This is Eliza Lucas Pinkney. The names we were looking for on this one was Lucas. Obviously, I was waiting to see if it was going to pop up on the name on the word list. The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinkney. So Lamb and Lucas have both shown up here. This wife married Charles at the age of 22. Charles was 45. So that's creepy to me because I'm close to Chuck's age and my oldest daughter is Eliza's age. You can see where that's a creepy age gap even back then for me. So we did have questions about the mansion and what happened to it. I believe those were Kim's questions. This is the only photograph of the mansion we actually have. This is fire damage from the Great Fire of 1861. This is exactly where you're standing right now. Now, when we get the what, like I said, fire burning blaze, which we did not, at least not in real time, we will get 2 or 3 numbers out of the date. This happened on 12/11/61, 1861 to be exact. So we've had 2 or 3 of those numbers show up along with the word fire burning blaze when we're asking about the fire in previous investigations. I've been coming here for 4 years. We get it more often than you would think. So every tour in town, if you're going to take more, is going to tell you about a great fire in Charleston. This is the one that took out the Pinkney Mansion. You're standing on a tiny little green dot on the east coast of this map of Charleston. Kind of gives you an idea of how big this fire actually was. This was $5 to $9 million worth of damage back then. So why didn't the Pinkney Mansion burn down? We're talking about an indigo farmer and politicians. Their house was made of more material than just wood. So again, it didn't burn all the way to the ground. Not to mention fires like that get hotter as they move around. This was the beginning of the fire. It actually started right up the road where the Harris Teeter grocery store is. So it kind of gives you an idea of where it started. The children. This is where I didn't give you the questions, but I'm going to kind of tell you about them specifically of why I kind of cut this one short. It is the month of June, and there is a major tragedy in the month of June. And if we poke that bear at all, Eliza seems to shut it all down, including any EMF readings. Charles, you already know about, signer of the Constitution. There were 4 children total, by the way. The next child I talk about after Charles is Thomas. Thomas fought in the Revolutionary War battle, shot in his left leg and captured by the British. When he was released, he was left on a cane the rest of his days. Any portrait you're going to find of Thomas Pinkney after that battle is of his right side, so he can hide his left leg with a cane over his lap. Kind of giving you the clues of the things that, when Thomas's name shows up, what else is normally going to follow. The next child is the one where we don't really want to poke the bear, but this is Baby George. You can already see where this one's going, I'm sure. Baby George didn't make it. June of 1747, he was born and he passed away. Now, we don't know exactly how old he was because that's all his death certificate tells us. Born and death, June of 1747, both columns. However, George also does not have a grave or a headstone. The theory behind this is that they would have mummified him and kept him right here in the home in a tomb, waiting for the mother to pass away so that way he could be buried with her. Again, it's a religious practice. Don't go home and Google mummy baby YouTube because somebody will call you from the government. Kind of keep that in mind. It is a religious practice. And it gets even more weird when we talk about Eliza's
I just
death.
heard never found.
I heard if you ever find yourself.
Normally we will get EMF spikes when I'm bringing this part up, by the way. The last child is the only daughter. Her name was Harriet. She married Daniel Horry. Why is that important? Myrtle Beach is Horry County. That gives you an idea of where she lived, 2.5 hours north of here. Wouldn't have been a 2.5 hour car ride for Miss Eliza. Would have been a lot of letter writing, as we've already discussed. So with the letter writing, we get Harriet, quill, ink, paper, published. Those kind of terms will start to pop up. It's only about once or twice a year that we'll get those kind of things
I
from
got
here.
publisher.
Did you?
Yeah.
We were just talking about books, were we not? We were. All right, so Eliza's death. Let's go through this one quickly so we can tell you about the next phase. Eliza died at the age of 70. First, I'll tell you that that is a long time for a woman to be alive during colonial times. She died in 1793. She was going to Philadelphia getting treatments, whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what the hell breast cancer was in 1793. We're going based off her medical records today. She died in Philly. She's buried in Philly. That should raise two questions in the back of everybody's brain. First off is baby George. If my theory is true, they would have transported him from here all the way to Philadelphia. That's a long trek, probably at least a week or two by horse and carriage with no roads. The second thing is if she's up there, why are we down here? I don't take you to cemeteries, as I mentioned earlier, before the tour even began. The reason why? People don't hang out near where their headstones are. They go to their mansions 400 miles away, which is exactly why I bring you to an empty parking lot dodging vehicles. Who wants to take a guess who the president was that was the pallbearer at Eliza's funeral? Oops. No. I'm glad you're wrong. Let me explain. George Washington, believe it or not, at his own request, wanted to pay homage to Miss Eliza because of her indigo that helped get our country started. Here's why I'm excited that nobody could answer properly. When we got over here, I told everybody I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse. I do that on purpose, subliminally putting George Washington in the back of all of your brains, waiting to see who's going to give me the right answer, and I know that you didn't hear it straight from the spirit box, so to speak. So if, let's say, Benton guessed it right and it was George Washington and he was using a spirit box, I would take it and give it to Kim because he's just going to repeat everything that he's saying throughout the rest of the evening, if you guys are getting my point. The rest of you all passed with a fail, so good job. So that's kind of what I want out of this. I want you to pass with a fail because I don't want you guys just repeating everything that I'm saying. That's why I withhold certain information. That's why it's important to tell me all the little silly things that you guys are hearing out of that. So again, what you guys just heard, sorry, my nose is super itchy. You guys are probably going to have that on film. Nobody's filming me right now. I'm sitting here scratching my nose to death.
I shouldn't have been filming that.
No.
He was right focused.
I know, right? So the next place we're going to go to is another lead-over location. It's an alley. So we're going to go in there and talk about dueling, and we're going to stir things up a little bit. We're not going to spread out like what we did in here. I want to kind of stir things up. We are going to have video cameras running while we're in there. But again, it's a very popular ghost tour area, and again, doesn't really give us the opportunity to spread out. We're going to go there, stir it up, go on to the next location, which is directly across the street, and hopefully we're going to get things from the dueling story and the next story after that that I'm going to be telling you about. It does happen pretty much on a regular basis. So again, you have to understand the alley by being inside of it. It is a very interesting space if you haven't been through Philadelphia Alley yet, and knowing like 3 different parts of its history to kind of piece it all together. Anything else that was maybe heard or seen on your spirit boxes before we leave this area? I know, I talk a lot. The spirit boxes, I definitely want you unmuted along the way. And I already told you, you can ignore your readings from here to there. We're going to be passing by parking meters. Cameras, you're not going to record until we get into the area. Be very inconspicuous when we're in there. Because again, look at that. Look at you. Perfect. You hit that record button, and that's exactly how you'll stand the whole time. And then, of course, the belly shot for you, Benton, is going to be perfect. Like, you're already on it.
Yeah.
I normally don't give that to the tallest person because normally they're doing one of these in that alley. And we definitely, those people just didn't pay to get filmed. They get weirded out by it. You okay? All right. Let's
She might just be nervous.
Yeah, she might be. Well, let's get you walking a little bit. You'll be okay. All right. Let's get out of here. And good night, Eliza. I will see you tomorrow, dear.
hard to do when you get older is standing.
Yes.
Hunting goats. Like shirt.
This alley historically is known as your
On the way here, I told her, how dare you?
Okay.
Did you say damn?
Yeah.
She
I
got that on her word thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Somebody's angry.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, just be very discreet. There's a lot of people in here.
Help me
Jen, what'd you
more.
get?
Thomas Goodwin.
That's very particular.
I'm going to excuse myself and look in the bushes.
Thomas is actually a relevant name here. Let me explain. We could, we're actually going to try to tell a love story. Can I see your labels in just a sec? Tell me if you have the word rose in there anymore. So we're about to talk about a specific gentleman, and basically in a nutshell, the house that he lived in is now known as the Thomas Rose House. So the name Thomas shows up a lot, and it's usually specific things about that house. It obviously still stands. It's bright yellow, has green shutters, and it's very specific. But the name Thomas, and you will get the word Rose that will normally pop up somewhere. So, as I said, every tour comes down here. It is a staple. So we're going to be telling the same story. However, we're not doing campfire marshmallow stuff like they are, like with the clues and jump scares. Like we're actually going to get into a little bit more detail. And again, I'm not faltering from my spot because I do love standing by this gate. Nobody knows why the hell this gate is here, and I do explain it before we leave. So I'm actually excited that you actually heard the "How dare you," and then the two of you actually had the same word show up. So I'm actually kind of excited, especially the "How dare you." We're about to talk about dueling. So obviously there was an altercation somewhere of a "How dare you" type of scenario. To me, it's not relevant yet, but it does lead into that. So here's how this history goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. Anybody hears the Brown-Eyed Girl song? It is not coincidence, it's part of his name. We get it here all the time. Whenever we have a group passing through us, by the way, we'll split the seas and let them go where they're going to go. Like what's happening on both ends of us right now.
I was lucky. I already had at least 5 pirate costumes in my closet. Oh, there's another one. Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
So sorry. We're gonna scoot on through.
This looks so unfair. Yeah, it is so unfair. It's so unfair.
It's normally not this busy unless it's 4th of July. To be honest with you. Yeah. Alright, so Dr. moves down here, like I said, right? Brown-eyed girl, we talked about that already. Good. So he moves down here, but he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney, helping her out with all of his cash.
Dude, I'm sorry.
You're good? I've been watching very closely. You guys said how good I was with names at the beginning of this. There's a reason for that. Just the other night, they actually had like a couple just try to latch on to my group of 12, like in the back.
Oh.
And I noticed like they didn't have any blinky light objects in their hand. And it got kind of nasty really fast. Like, no. You can't just poach us. That's not how this works. You can't just latch on, which is what I thought toasters are doing. But anyway, back to Dr. Ladd. He comes down here because, again, he's supposed to get married, and it's the attorney that Amanda had for all of her cash flow thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda to get rid of him. He comes here to prove that he's not after her money, and he's going to start his medical practice here. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start. Yeah, there's a gunman inside the hotel or room where he's going to go rent. However, somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. He's a local. He sees everything that's about to happen because he knows the coachman. And I'm going to stop on Ralph. The reason why is because Ralph Isaacs has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. The letters RI were showing up on the red spirit boxes all the time. That's why I bought that Ouija board device with the letters on it. And it actually is just a glorified EMF detector, by the way. So anytime there's an EMF spike, oh, we're going to let her pass through. So anytime there's an EMF spike, it stops the letter and drops it to a bottom row so we can get any anagrams, initials, or words being spelled out for us. We've had the letters RI show up as I'm talking about Ralph Isaacs all the time. I've had it for about 6 months, and I can probably count the same amount of times that we've gotten it during that time. Keep in mind, I'm out here 7 nights a week. So again, in 6 months, probably get about 1 a month. Anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me to 59 Church Street. That's the Thomas Rose house I was telling you about earlier. He says, I got friends there. You can rent a room, you'll be safe and good to go. The doctor took him up on the offer. They're now friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. She gets wind of this, she's moving down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Here's what I'm going to tell you about whistling ghosts. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. We have one too. We just have different evidence for it. So let's get into that. Ralph and the doctor go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the way the hierarchy works in Charleston. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. They go see Richard III one night from Shakespeare, and they're arguing over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiance, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. Kind of a jerk move, like a how dare you type a moment, right? So they go their separate ways, but Ralph has friends here in town. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, and he tells them to put an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality, slap with a glove, right? Dr. Ladd sees the ad, but rebuttals with, let's go to Dulro's Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all. Somebody's going to die. So they came down here, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shot his one shot. He didn't want to kill his friend, he just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel. Ralph, though, has his one bullet. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Kind of a really rough move, but he proved his point that he's still ticked off, not willing to forgive. Dr. Ladd dropped to the ground, his friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786. He also refused medical treatment during those 10 days. He's a doctor. Gunshot wounds were a lot different in 1786 than what they are now. Now, he probably just tried to bleed out the bullet wound himself, because it was probably what he thought was just lead poisoning, but he ended up dying from it. So, every tour will tell you, as you guys can hear how quiet it is down here, it's always this quiet, even on a busy Saturday afternoon. I don't know why. It's kind of eerie, unless that air conditioner is running. They tell you to listen for the whistles. We have 2 cameras and a voice recorder running. We've also gotten the word whistle. We've gotten whistling parts of songs. Again, you take it for what it's worth. But again, if there's going to be a whistle down here, you don't have to listen with your own ears. You can actually just use the recordings that you have. Now, if you're going to go all the way through here and actually try this for yourself with the voice recorders from your phones, keep in mind every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single day. So again, whenever we're done, especially since I got thrown out of here, and I'm going to talk about that because that's the fun part of the story. Yes, I got thrown out of here. It's fun. Don't worry. I know, we got kids here. I keep it family friendly.
I'm the grandmother.
And it's a fair story.
Okay.
It really is. It was an honest mistake. Now, with this particular location, it didn't go all the way through this way. There was a wall halfway between us and Cumberland Street. The reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. They called it Cow Alley back then. Sometimes we'll hear the word cow in the spirit boxes. But anyway, I used to take my groups all the way to the end because those bricks are older than the ones we're standing on. Those ones are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, along with fingerprint swipes off to the side. I'm sure you guys picked up on all about history, but we're going to let this group pass through. Family group come through. Hello. Are you good? You good?
Get right for you. Get out of your way.
I love that you just get that thing out. Like, we're all the weirdos here. But anyway, so I used to take my group all the way down to the end. And I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That's the last place you're going to find that kid. I mean, everybody's waiting around that brick, waiting for something to happen. And I'm trying to shoot them along. It's also outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I was just trying to be respectful. I didn't know I new owner of the mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because her dad's getting yelled at. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't do Thanksgiving anymore simply because I worked in retail management for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. You guys get my point of why I'm never going to work for Thanksgiving ever again. The next day was November 28th, 2020. I called my partner that I had at the time that I was kind of learning tourism from. I told him what happened. He said, dude, you can't go down that far. He's like, you're only allowed to go down halfway or you got to reroute the group. So I told the group, I don't believe in this next story. I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person, and I've never had anything occur there. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them who we were going to be investigating, the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I went, okay, maybe we'll get something. We go up there, I told them a little bit I did know about piracy because I didn't have much time to research. And by the way, tickets were much cheaper by then. I could wing it when I wanted to. But somebody else heard the number 300 come out of their spirit box. I don't know what it means, I write it down. I'm researching the next morning for them. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. Now you guys are all looking at me with jaws on the floor. I was pissed. Here's why. I have a master's degree in creative writing. I like facts and data to be able to create a fiction story. Pirate stories are created for pirate lore, right? From 100 years after these things actually occur. It's difficult to piece together. We're investigating. I need facts. So everything we're going to be discussing at the next location came from a minimum of 2 resources. So kind of keep that in mind when we go through this whole pirate story next. But also, we may get things from the doctor story because we're going to be right across the street in, the lot over there, away from the other tours. But the gate, before we leave, I know some of you look at me like, what's with the gate? Remember that the alley didn't go all the way through this way. This is showing you how I piece everything together. If there was a loser to the duel, this was a shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side of the wall. So we're going to let them pass.
Crazy spot tonight. Sorry.
I know, right?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Excuse us. Be careful, there's rats over there.
That's Remy.
There were.
He's here every night. We're in his space. What do you got? And you also had something off fire too on the way here. So, but anyway, I just like to point out the gate. The wrought iron was probably put there in the early 1900s, but you can definitely see by the archway that it's definitely a part of the original wall. Again, not a whole lot of people know why that's actually there. So, you guys ready to learn about some rated R pirates? Did anybody get my punny joke?
Very funny. Yep.
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Doing all right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, you're here. I know what's gonna come out. So that's how I feel.
What's that? We have no idea. I don't even know. I never even found her last name. I have dug and dug and dug. Nothing. I've looked around his grave, not buried here in Charleston. Nothing. However, Dr. Maya did write poetry while he was here, most of it being about the city and Amanda. And then his sister, Elizabeth, later published it. So if you pull it, the literary remains of Dr. Again, I read some of it. I was too happy. horizontally. No, that's your right. So like so. Let the camera on your
I
back.
see what you're
There
saying.
you go.
Okay.
Is it
Got
recording, by the way?
Yes.
So stop it and then start it back up again. Otherwise, all of those angles will be upside down.
Okay, got it.
I don't know who Aaron is, but yours is definitely relevant to where we are because we're about to talk about some gunpowder. Katie, did you get anything on yours? Yeah? Okay. You actually had asked your doctor, didn't you?
I got something said I'm at peace. That's
We'll take that too.
yeah.
All right, let's head to the back. That way we get Nancy's camera all screwed up with all these leaves and ivy back.
No, I think I have had a little person, but
Near that garbage can, we get somebody sitting on it about once a month or so.
oh,
Very interesting. I bring us to the back so that way we're out of the way of the other tours. Again, they're going to be here talking about the Gunpowder magazine. We are too, but in a much different way. And this is also where I get to set the bag down. So, because this story can get a little animated and I get sweaty. So, why are we here? The little tiny building up there with crosses on it. You need to know that those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts, if you're not familiar with them, are turnbuckles. They go all the way through the roof and it looks just like that on the other side. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can tighten those turnbuckles and it tightens the building so that way it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So I'm bringing those up because it's part of the reason of why we're here. Those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. Reason being is that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. The reason why we're here, this building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny came here to start a new life. So it's what I call a familiar. For those of you that watch TV shows, you see that little Blue Buddy teddy bear that they use to attract children ghosts? Same principle. The child would recognize the teddy bear, Anne Bonny would recognize the building. We don't have any buildings this old, if you're getting my point. So, this is a gun. What was it?
Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift.
But this particular building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. But, you know, they're all kind of migrated. I'll move the bag so you guys have the full recording. But we're here because of this story begins right in the middle of the construction. So 1708, let's go back to Ireland for a second. A young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? There's a couple of little pirate chick twists in this. I'll slow down on those. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was she that she kicked them out of the damn country by boat? There's no planes. But anyway, they land in Georgetown. Dad won a plantation, mom dies pretty quickly. That means he's sending young Anne down here to sell things from the plantation to help keep things afloat. So, hence the familiar building. We're hoping that she's going to be here at the same time we are. But, go back to Ireland for just a second. Anne, at the age of 7, 8, 9 years old, remember it's pirate lore, nothing is ever exact. They say she was a badass even back then because she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. Can't tell you how many times we've had servant, knife, and belly all show up on different spirit boxes, not knowing what the other two people have. So it happens all the time here. Anyway, fast forward. The building's done in 13. By 1715, Charlestown has pirates coming through it. Anne is pretty stoked. Why? She's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. Again, it's a man's world at this point. First guy she falls in love with, and I say first because there's a handful. We're going to go through them all. That's what makes the story interesting. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right? We've already mentioned her pirate name. But when they moved down to Jamaica to get married, because they had to run away from her father, who was very angry with her, they got married. But James Bonny is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she wants. A few years go by, she falls in love again. This is John Rackham. They call him Calico Jack. That's his nickname. I'll explain his name later on. But Jack has his own... Oh, by the way, this is the same guy that they based your Johnny Depp character off of. So that's that way you know who he actually is. Jack has his own ship and crew. You can't put a female on a pirate crew because it's bad luck. So normally I would throw that question back to the crowd, but we have youngins in the group, and you guys give me raunchy answers when I ask you why can't you put a female on a pirate ship. But anyway, but at the same time, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, you can be part of it, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this. Why? Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world, but now she's a pirate. Let's go. Most of us are adults here. Let's put two and two together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then they're going to get rid of Jack as captain. They can vote him off. He drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. When she comes back without a baby, which by the way, I have no idea what happened to this child. No amount of my research has ever found it. Jack is angry because she's dressed like a female, and everybody's going to know that he let a girl on the ship. While she was gone giving birth, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting, because that's who Anne is, and make Jack even more mad. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the crew that Calico Jack captured. Now we have 2 females, just like males, on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers, we're not going to really know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to come take on one measly little pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 that weren't drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks. They don't know how to use cannons yet, they haven't been pirates for very long. But anyway, 2 ladies with flintlocks are not going to work out against a whole fleet of ships. They get arrested. As they're being arrested, she looks at her bow, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot on spirit boxes. The judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and all of his drunken pirates, the ones he captured, so they're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender. He does not care that they're female. They're still pirates. He's gonna hang them anyway. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they shouted out, because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne and brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're gonna count Mary, we don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. End of story. End of what happens to Mary Reed. She dies 5 months later in the Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Make it romantic for yourselves and call it scurvy. Why the hell not? Most books would tell you that it was fever. Now, the things I left out of here, because I'm not going to assign questions like what I did before, this is also not a prominent English woman that we need to tiptoe around, because it's a sad month for her. This is a pirate girl. Let's poke the bear a little bit. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose. That's the father and the mistress. I do know the names. Hopefully you get them on your spirit boxes. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship that she joined. So that one is very specific, obviously. The city where she grew up in Ireland, will pop up from time to time, and obviously the color of her hair is going to be red. So anything else you want to ask, it's fair game. She's a pirate chick. Some of this stuff I can't prove, but if you get certain answers, and it's a direct answer, that's your personal experience. There's certain things we just can't prove about this. But those are things that I can prove. Names, dates, so forth and so on. But yeah, we are going to spread out. We're going to keep in mind that there's one vehicle in here, and other tours may cut through here, and look at us like we're the weirdos, because we are.
I'm ready.
Yeah, with yours, this is the Ivy wall I was telling you about earlier. With yours, Miss Terry, with this in the back is usually where I'm looking for any kind of EMF. You have 2 electrical poles up in the corners, so don't get excited if you get readings up in that area, or even on that front half, because we're parking on the other side. Okay. But otherwise, what words do you have going on with yours? Championship is interesting because we just talked about it.
Yeah.
So I would be more excited if it said like competitor, contest, championship in the wing looks transferable. So again, it's there, but it's not, if that makes sense.
Favor.
Let's see what else we got there. Yeah, have a look. How big's your list now? Go to the word list, let's say at the bottom. Oh, it says entries. So we get an average about 75. So for you, if you have kind of a lack of blood flow, where you fit to try and at the next location.
So I think this is a tree, but it's kind of fun. It's
It's
dancing.
the angles from the roof.
Oh, okay. It's kind of fun, though.
It is. See how tall he is?
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, yeah, that's a big no.
Yeah,
We don't have a 20-foot ghost walking around here.
Well, we don't know that, do we?
So, for some odd reason, and I've had it several times, over that garbage can,
Yeah.
if you're facing and looking at it directly, now we're lucky because that truck is kind of in the way, because I've tested it by walking around. We always kind of, if you have something and you're like, oh, this might actually be legit, you want to get somebody to walk around them so we have a point of reference for height, make sure it's not picking up something from behind it.
Okay.
So that way we're kind of, and we've tested it several times.
All
We've
right,
had
so you
somebody
think that's a
sitting
good
on the
spot?
garbage can.
Don't be sitting on the garbage can.
I know, but it's a pirate. She don't give a shit.
Oh. Yeah, she
Pardon the language,
had
but it's
scurvy.
a pirate. I
Yeah,
know, right?
yeah. Hey, she deserved it.
You need to take advantage. Heard I'm under. You should take advantage.
Look at this. Oh my God, you came up and it disappeared. He's sitting on the trash can. That's weird.
If you're there, can you raise your hand?
Says Snoop.
I'll leave again.
Can you walk behind there? So I have a point of...
You got Nance anything?
Well, yeah, it looks like somebody's sitting on a chair. He's sitting on the trash can. Now he just got up. Not a leaf.
Definitely not a leaf. Did you tell Jennifer to go behind it?
Yes. Niece's answer.
Stop right there.
Jen. Jen,
She can't hear us. She's got earbuds in.
stop. Come back.
Make sure she stops
Look at that.
So we have some points of her, obviously here at the top right.
But there are his legs, or hers. Pirate witch.
Because if this was all garbage can stuff, it would have been straight across for the lid, or the, you know what I mean, side to side.
Yeah.
Like we got somebody there.
I think somebody's there.
Whoever's there, can you raise your hand above your head? Raise your hand above your head. We can see you on this box we're using. Let's see some of it.
Yeah.
It's an attempt. It's weak, but there's definitely something going on there.
Yeah.
There's too many points of reference for it to...
A while back, before Jen came over, he was just sitting on the bench.
And that's, again, I kind of like the fact that the truck was there, because the one night we debunked it with the arch, like the pole over there.
Did you get any higher numbers on your thing?
Again, this is not the Pinckney Mansion site. If we get anything here, I'm excited. Like, if you get a 2.5, I'm like, woohoo!
I heard Charles. Does that mean anything?
Yes.
Woo!
Right. Well, I think this guy's having a nice rest.
I feel like I've been able to hear things a lot clearer.
You get better at it, don't you?
Yeah.
It's pretty vague, too. Brent, you got anything going on with there?
No.
Would he have anything going on here?
No, your camera sees in a much different light than his.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Unless, obviously, there's something cold. Like, we have something going on, like, near that garbage can. So you could probably give us a temperature gauge and see if there's anything going on. I guarantee you, if Terry goes over there with her EMF, she might get a little bit of a reading, but your guy is going to disappear. It happens a lot.
It's
go ahead
okay.
and see if you can get a reading by the top of the tall garbage can.
Oh,
He's gone.
Oh, she's standing right in front of him, of course. Any readings?
not much.
0.9.
He's having a great time here.
He's
dancing. He's
I mean, come on.
He was doing this.
That's the thing, is see how it's flickering? It was something that was obviously there. Oh,
And he,
Jennifer leaves the screen and he disappears.
no, he's back for a second. He was
Oh.
doing a dance earlier.
Little jig, little Irish jig.
Yeah. Just got back from Ireland.
I know, right? Kim, you got anything going on?
I heard way there. I actually heard war stories. And then believe.
That was for Brenton.
Oh yeah.
All right. I'm impressed.
We have a little bit of something going on there.
Yeah.
You'll definitely get some screenshots out of that. I would hit your stop on the record button way around your head. If you get confused, it's fine. Everybody does. Just wait till I come back. I'll help you out. But we're going to go learn some history, and we're going to be back in 5 minutes. Like, it's literally only going to take me 5 minutes to go through this one. So, make friends. That's nice. I love the way you look like you Ghostbuster right now, by the way. Love it. So, let's go over to the monument, everybody. Let's go see what we can capture over here. By the way, I'm sorry. I've been calling you Brenton all night. I know it's night now. So, my apologies.
You're good.
Well, I put that R in there.
Correcting people right up here.
Jen, you're going to have to remind me to write that stuff down. All right. So, by the way, Miss Nancy,
I'm going to the bench.
you can. We can all go to the bench. How about that?
Let's go to the bench.
This location is exactly why I have that camera, by the way.
I understand.
Somebody brought one of the big chunky monkey ones on my tour one night from the TV shows.
Yeah.
And we had a full 8-minute interaction with this gentleman that I'm about to tell you about right next to his monument for 8 minutes. And when I say interaction, it was one of those, hey Henry, raise your hand. Any kids? Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
The only way he disappeared was because, who was missing? Oh, I'm like, where did he go? I know he went one. So, and that's okay, because we're going to get him involved too. But yeah, it was a crazy night. I was like, I gotta have one of those. So I called the developer of that app and we started chatting. And he actually just hooked me up with a subscription for the visual piece that we're gonna be using over there.
I just got
Brooklyn. I don't know what that means either. So the first time I came here, I didn't know what to expect. I change this every year. So I take out a space and I add one after Halloween. So in November, I brought a group here and I said, we're gonna experiment, just tell me what you're hearing. I don't know what we're gonna find. Lots of monuments. Somebody heard the year 1828 as soon as we got in here, the name Henry, and I was using the word list because there was only 2 people that night because it was cold, and I had the name Tim that showed up on there. That bust is Henry Timrod, born in 1828. Well, I went, well, hot damn, there's my ghost. I don't know. No, it was not. I know you're all excited about that damn blonde now. But anyway, short, quick piece on his life. He was a writer, and he was very sick for most of his life. So he's obviously old enough to go fight in the Civil War. He goes to fight. His comrades realize he's too sick to fight. They sent him home, knowing he was a writer, and they said, go be the voice of the war. They wanted him to write about what was going on the battlefield. Came home, started writing poetry about what was going on out there. He became known as the laureates of the Confederacy. Pretty big deal for us writers. But anyway, a couple of years go by after he comes home, and he has a son by his wife, Katie. So his son, his name is Willie. He was born on Christmas Eve and dies 9 months later, October 23rd of 1865. So obviously a big tragedy for the family. He's not writing as much. A few more years go by, and he's still not writing. His college buddy calls him up and says, you know what, I see you're not publishing as much as you're supposed to. Come out to my cottage. You can work on your piece that you're supposed to be publishing and, you know, have some peace. Leave Katie at home to mourn with her parents. He goes out to this cottage in Columbia. It's where he wrote his last words. Beholder of brief mortality, person of short life, is what it translates to. And then he coughs, and it lands on the page, and it stays there. He had tuberculosis. It was a blood stain. So here's the interesting thing about that blood stain. It looks like a man writing at his desk. We show this book one day a year at the Charleston Library Society. You got to be a member of that society to go see it. However, the internet's beautiful. I'm going to show you what the page looks like, and then we're going to go talk to those two as if they're Henry Timrod. I'm going to give them a few tips and tricks of what to expect out of this whole scenario. Family members will have to be involved, so then you're going to have to be kind of close by and at the ready. But this is what we call the blood book.
Wow.
And you can see where it looks like a man writing at his desk. But to me, the whole page tells the whole story. So the dude coughed, he was a writer. And his blood stain looks like a man writing at his desk. But the lines, beholder of brief mortality, are literally his last words. He died at the age of 38.
Oh my gosh.
All right, we ready to do this?
Sure.
All right, let's go mess this up. Can't wait.
All right. Hello. Hello.
In essence, this is creating AI images based on the EMFs that are around us and what my phone is picking up. So just go ahead and get that thing on your head, and we're going to adjust it to make sure you can see.
Okay, this is the phone.
Is it blurry?
Oh, Mom. Your phone kind of scares me.
Stop telling me dates.
So you have
Use
clouds
the
in front.
dials on top of the headset to adjust the Visually focus on the logo above.
You should
Look
have
down
it ready at the bottom.
I see an arrow.
You got to hold it there so that it starts. These are subtle movements you should be doing. Just take the headset off and I'll set it up. Alright, so in essence, when you put that earbud in, you are going to tell us every little thing that you're hearing. And even yes-no answers are okay because you have no idea what we're going to be asking. Even if you hear yes-no, I want you to tell us yes-no. Again, you're not going to know what I'm asking, so kind of keep that in mind. Also, you need to keep in mind that a tap on the leg from a family member means we're done. Or something went wrong and we're pulling you out early. I'm not going to keep you
should hope only.
Only 10 minutes. We're all good now. The other piece of this is that a tap on the shoulder means you're talking too loud.
Okay.
So you have to whisper. Remember, we can hear you. Yes, exactly. So we are going to huddle in nice and tight so everybody can kind of circle around them. This is blindfold first. It is. Do you see a picture?
Yeah, I saw it. Wow.
Okay, so when a picture shows up, you need to start describing whatever the picture is. So it's blindfold first, or you can do it that way.
Okay.
She can't even hear us. And your headphones. Somebody might need to help her. Yeah, somebody's got to help her with her. Let's see. Done the job. Yeah, they're a little tight. They're still new. Kim, you got any pictures yet? Okay. Just let me know whenever you see more than just fog.
Oh! What else? Oh,
got
this
these-
is
so-
weird. It's like red. It kind of looks in a green. Oh, this is weird.
Okay.
I see a toe.
Okay.
A toe or finger.
It's 11:02, so we're gonna time this in 10-minute increments.
Is it a bloody leg with a bone? Oh my god, that's weird. It's like bloody. There's like blood.
I heard 15
Fingers.
Okay. Henry Timrod, we would like for you to come through. Tonight we're using a new type of box. We'll be able to get some of the visuals that you would like to give us. You just have to get near the green box. You guys are going to get all of these images to see what she's actually describing. Henry Timrod, I need you to come through, and let's start off with your occupation. Can you tell us what your job was, please?
Oh, that one.
Henry Timrod, please push through and tell us what your occupation is. Elliot, I do need you to keep an eye on it. You guys all know what his occupation was, so. Henry Timrod, can you tell us what your occupation is, or do you want to start talking about your family immediately? It's a yes/no question.
My baby.
Okay, let's go straight into your child, please. Can you tell us the name of your son? What was his first name? This young lady can hear you. Henry, can you tell us the name of your son, please? Or who he was named after. He was named after Henry's father. Kim, let us know if you see any more pictures.
Prison for murder.
Okay, we know you weren't in prison for murder. Can you tell us the name of your son, please? Was your father in prison for murder?
3.2.
Keep an eye on that. You never know. Henry Timrod, I need you to push through and tell us something specific about your son. His name will be perfect, but we'll take his birthday.
Death.
We'll take his birthday. And his birthday, his death date, we'll take that as well in number format. That was October 23rd. So they can confirm when it does push through. Henry Timrod, are you even here with us, or do we have somebody else?
People he loves.
The average for the 10-minute time span for the photos that Kim will see is about an average of 4 pictures total. At least that's what I tested at home. I did a full hour test, so about 6 tries going through it. There's an average of about 4. Henry Timrod, I need you to push through. We got somebody here that can see visuals if you want to create them for us. If you want to tell us about your occupation, you can make a picture of a pen. You can tell us anything about writing, paper, ink, anything along those lines will do.
800.
We're trying a little bit different way of communication with you tonight, Henry. I know you wanted to go straight into Willie, but it doesn't seem like you want to talk about him truly. Do we want to talk about your wife? That's a yes/no answer.
are in George Washington Park. It doesn't get more American than that. Henry, I need you to push through. Is somebody else here with you? The friend's name from college was Paul. Paul Hain Hamilton.
Worried about you?
What are you worried about me for? I'm fine. We're here to talk about you, Henry.
Monday.
Monday I wasn't here. It rained. Henry, I need you to push through. Give us something specific about you, please. Let's get the proof that you're here before we have a little chat. I've asked a lot of questions about your wife,
500.
your son, your occupation. Any of those things will work. If you want to answer them. Kim, no images yet? A lot of smoke. Henry, I need you to push through. It's been 5 minutes, so everybody has an idea. Try to run nice and tight, guys. Again, folks are walking by. Henry, what is 555? That doesn't mean anything to me.
Losing money.
Yeah, you were a pretty poor guy. What did you do to make those little bit of dollars that you did make? Henry, I need you to push through. Really try to answer some of these questions for us. We're about halfway through. You know this goes very quickly.
Famous.
Well, you're famous now. What are you famous for? You heard anything on here? What are you famous for, Henry?
Railroad.
That's weird. It's not a term you would normally hear on the radio. Henry, you need to tell us what
Get
you're...
ready.
You need to tell us what you're famous for, or show us. This young lady
Not
with
here.
this, who's not here?
Mm-hmm. 9/13.
Sounds like a date to me. September 13th. So you guys see how I'm putting all this together, right? Because these are weird things that I have no idea what they are. Kim's not getting any visuals, which is very disappointing. She's only had one, right? This young lady with this contraption on her face can actually see things, Mr. Timrod. You can put visuals up there and show us a few things. Henry, I need you to really push through. If you're not Henry, tell us your first name.
Not the same.
Okay.
I'm just trying to talk to my mom.
I'd asked for his mother's name, but it was Thriza. There's no way that's going to push through on this type of method. What was your mother's maiden name? That's an interesting one. It was Prince. You should be able to get that. Henry, what was your mother's maiden name? Henry, we're running out of time.
Father, thank you.
Oh, I see something.
What do you got?
It's like a, I don't even know. It kind of looks like a snake. Or, yeah, like an eel or
Knowing
something.
the truth.
It's like long. It's got a sharp, pointy tail, and it's like
Look how she's drawing it.
long and- Yeah, it looks like an
Okay.
alien
Don't
fish.
belong.
Eel. Looks
Say
like
what?
eel.
Is somebody here that doesn't belong?
It's a black and white eel. And now it's gone.
That was quick. That didn't stay very long at all.
Scare tactic.
She just got like a snake coming out of her. Their screen. Probably. Henry, we're gonna have to call this one. You're not giving us a whole lot. I'm gonna give you another minute to either produce a few terms for us or a visual through the other contraption on Kim's face. The most exciting thing for me is at 9:13 because I don't know what it is.
Exactly what you want.
I'm thinking it might be your wife's birthday. Am I correct? Henry, one last chance. What do you want to tell us?
Brace yourself.
I think it's time for us to go, Henry. What do you think? She's smiling. She heard something. Henry, do you want us to go?
Fell in love.
Fell in love.
Who did you fall in love with? Kim's falling asleep under there, dude. Henry, can you tell us what sound
Shine on me.
what sound are we hearing right now? What animal is that? Of course they stopped. Henry, one last chance.
Rest.
Do you want us to go? Yeah, we're about 2 minutes past. Go ahead and tap her on the leg for me. Kim, go ahead and release that headset. Kind of snake.
Really creepy.
Yeah.
And then you said scare tactic right after this appeared. So
Yeah. She was like, I see like a
Ooh,
snake.
ooh.
you guys will get these on your data. I'm surprised there was only 2. So
Bloody hand was enough, I think.
yeah,
You were like, I'm done now. So.
Yeah, I was like, this is kinda
very, very interesting. But again, that's the first time we've done the visual piece of it. How do you feel? Are you okay? Like when you took the headset off, you weren't like dizzy or disoriented or anything?
No.
Okay, I need to know these things
More
for
so than
future.
usual.
No, nah. He has a thing you put on your head to play video games with, and I felt horrible playing that. Like I felt very disoriented, but I didn't feel like that with this at all.
Well, this was also in 2D, so it's very
Yeah.
linear. You know, the
Yeah.
games he's playing are definitely 360. So, yeah. That bloody hand is kind of cool. Do you have that?
area. And before that it said present and then true.
I said something, you know, on my thing. I've been taking off my headphones. Yeah, I was a little scared. It was overwhelming.
Can you raise your hand, please?